Hey, welcome back to the Bus Hub. Halycon Media released a trailer for the upcoming Hamburg DLC for the bus, and of course we are going to take a closer look at it. Let's get started. The trailer starts with a scene at the Steinstraasa, which is an area which both included lines 6 and 17 drive-through. There's some great detail here. You can see the St. Jacobi Church in the background, which has been nicely recreated. Also, the Saturn parking garage on the right side is nicely modeled and even seems to have cars inside. Meanwhile, there's also another big building with a glass facade that in real life is a parking garage too, but in the trailer it looks more like an office building, so it's one of the few places where the detail feels simplified. Also, we can see the entry to the local subway station. Overall, this segment feels dense and alive, packed with authentic details. In the next scene, we're still on Steinstraasa, but next to the Domplots. Again, we are going to drive through this place with both bus lines. Here you can see the Die Zeit publishing building. This is the headquarters of Germany's famous weekly newspaper. Also visible is part of the Domplots area with those big white blocks. Apparently, those blocks represent the locations of the pillars of the cathedral, which has been demolished in the early 19th century. Like the last scene, this area looks nicely detailed, and everything has been recreated faithfully. We shift over to the Speicherstadt,
Speicherstadt,
which is one of the starting points of Line 6. You can see Kornhaus Bridge here. This bridge connects
Speicherstadt,
with Hamburg's Old Town, which you actually drive on for Line 6 in-game. The road layout looks one-to-one with real life, and the background buildings in the
Speicherstadt
look perfectly recreated with that iconic red brick warehouse style. In the foreground, though, you do notice one of Halycon's compromises. There's a building that in real life is a beautiful historic structure, but in the trailer it looks like a more generic building. Still, overall, this area is immediately recognizable and very well done. Next, we see the Bismar Monument in the Old Elbe Park, which is on the route of Line 17. It's a Hamburg landmark, a huge statue of Bismarck at over 34 meters tall, built in the early 1900s. In the trailer, it looks really well modeled. I do wonder if they'll include details like graffiti on the base in-game, as in real life, it seems to be full of it. Still on Line 17, we move into St. Pauli near the Repaban. This section is super iconic. The Repaban is Hamburg's nightlife and red light district, running about 930 meters from Millentor westward to Nobistor. Again, a very accurate recreation by Halycon. In the background, you see the very interesting-looking Tausende Türme high-rises. You also see the distinctive roof of the St. Pauli subway station entrance. And there's also the Bismarck statue, visible again in the distance, showing just how huge it really is. Back to Line 6, and another angle on Kornhausbrücke. The bridge itself is well done, but I did notice there's a missing building to the left side that exists in real life. And compared to photos, this area could maybe use a bit more detail, like more parked cars or more props on the sidewalk. Still, you get a lovely view of St. Catherine's Church in the background, which is recreated really nicely. Some other background buildings do look a little generic, but overall, it captures the Speicherstadt vibe well. For the next scene, we stay in the Speicherstadt, but now looking the other way. Here you see the German Customs Museum on the left. The museum is in the former Hamburg Customs building. The canal is visible too, and even populated with ships, which is such a nice touch. Maybe a bit nitpicking, but something what I noticed was that the Zoll Museum building itself looks a bit flat compared to photos. But I do suspect that's partly a performance consideration. We move to the Santorai area in this scene, which is also part of the Speicherstadt. Looking west along Am Santorai, you see the big parking garage on the right and the pedestrian bridges in the background. Also here everything feels faithfully recreated. We stay in the same area for the next scene. Along the street we can see the Kessel House, a historic power plant that supplied electricity and compressed air to the Speicherstadt. It was originally built in the late 1800s and rebuilt after wartime damage. Today, it's an info center for Hafen City. In-game, it's nicely modeled with its characteristic brickwork and tower. We move to an intersection near Speicherstadt. This is the Mesburg intersection, and also has been faithfully recreated. Mesburg is one of Hamburg's oldest market squares, documented since the 1400s. It now sits at the edge of the UNESCO World Heritage Area. We are going to pass this location while driving on Line 6. Finally, we arrive at Rodingsmarkt, which is part of Line 17. This is one of my favorite details in the trailer, the elevated subway station of the Hamburg Hauptbahn, with an actual fully modeled subway train visible running across the bridge. However, a small detail I noticed was that the subway didn't actually stop at the station. Could be that the bus doesn't support that kind of AI behavior yet. Rodingsmarkt has always been a key connection in Hamburg's old east-west street network, and the station itself is part of the U3 line. Everything looking recreated to the real counterpart as well over here. So overall, what do I think? This teaser trailer shows off an extremely faithful recreation of Hamburg's urban core. Halycon has done a great job here. Of course, there are compromises here and there, like some missing or simplified buildings which can be disappointing, especially if you know the area well. But it seems like a compromise that Halycon had to make to be able to finish the DLC in a timely manner. But the overall atmosphere looks very promising, in my opinion. I do hope that Halycon is going to keep updating this DLC after release. I really am looking forward to more lines and maybe replacements of those mentioned generic fictional buildings. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. Let me know in the comments if you spotted anything else in the trailer I missed, or if you have any local knowledge to add. Alright, see you in the next one.